Is there anybody listening? Is there anyone that sees what's going on? Read between the lines, criticize the words they're selling. Think for yourself and feel.
Good morning. Welcome back to the trailer park. I am Chanda-Masta, the Trailer Park Pundit, and hopefully my internet is strong enough to get my stream out for me today. I work hours and hours and hours on getting these shows put together, and then to have my internet tank, it's so discouraging and deflating. But I do it because you guys want it. I mean, I would have just quit the other day and said, "Oh, it's terrible," and that was a terrible stream. Like, I don't know. It's so discouraging. And then now my mic's disappearing, my camera's glitching out, but my internet is still crappy, even though I pay for excellent internet. The only thing I can think that changed is school's out, and there's a lot more kids probably gaming at this time of the morning. The only thing I can come up with. I don't know. But you better believe I'm going to be all over my internet company today about it. My stream doesn't look that bad. I ran in 720 with 60 frames per second on Friday, or whatever, 60 frames per minute. I think that might have been the problem because this morning I'm in 1080 with 30 frames. Maybe the lower frame rate will help me out. I'm hoping so. Good morning, Fred Edwards. Glad to see you. Denver Attaway. Good morning. Everybody hanging out. Let me get over to the YouTube chats. Hey, guess what? We're on a new platform today. Kick. I don't know if it actually launched because I'm not logged in, but I turned it on. So maybe we're on a new platform this morning. We're excited to join the peeps over at Kick. And let's hope it's a free speech platform. That's all we want, right? We just want to 30 frames is all you need. So I'm told, Popeye. So I'm told. But I'm told that it was better to go with the frames per second than the 1080. But I seem to be clearer today. So fingers crossed it'll stay that way. Let's have a good freaking Monday, man. And I want to shout out Oz the Boomer. Get well. Oz isn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling good. I literally slept all day yesterday. I took 3 naps. I would wake up, work on my show for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then go right back to bed. I don't know. I guess, doing 6 shows a week is starting to catch up with me, but that's okay. I'm just going to sleep my way through it. Okay, let's get this show on the road. I want to shout out the YouTube, actually. Miguel H. Hello. Popeye. Popeye's here. Cold Fusion Gaming, always supporting me. A Dingo ate me, baby. Hey, Dingo. Queensryche used to play at the Stone in San Francisco a lot. Never saw them. Popeye, I grew up in Seattle, so I had bootleg Queensryche before anybody even knew who Queensryche was. Always been a huge fan. But personally, they're kind of douchebaggy from what I hear. One of them, Jeff Tate, actually, his favorite town is my next town over, which is Port Townsend. I live between Port Angeles and Port Townsend, but beautiful area. He actually does these tours where you could pay like 10 grand and then you get to spend a whole week with him. And he takes you to all of his favorite places in the San Juans. Like, I don't know what the hell that's all about, but it's all inclusive. So a lot of people signed up for it. I don't know. Maybe it'd be cool to hang out with the aging rock star for a week. Love the film noir, Shanda. Thanks. I love film noir too. I really do. Walking the dogs, DC. Yeah, I gotta walk those puppies. They got to get out too. Rob Juno, glad to see you. Press that like button. Yes, press that like button for me, please. Hi, Jilly. Good morning. Oh my gosh, the craziness never ends, right? I mean, what did we see this week? And of course, you're only allowed so much Twitter now, right? We're going to talk about that. We got Hunter Biden doing 170 down the highway smoking crack. That's going to be a fun story to cover. We got all kinds of good stuff on the deck. I've got some Snowden. Poor Snowden. He's been jumping the deck for 3 shows now. So I finally held on to it. He's making an appearance today. Terry, welcome to the chat and the fams. Everybody's welcome in the hangout. We're always excited to see new names, new faces. Somebody sent me how to say your name. Let me see. I'm going to find it. I got to pull up the Twitter though. I can't believe I didn't have Twitter already pulled up. I was trying to pull less off of my system as possible. Fred Edward, I think, sent me how to pronounce your name. Hi, Shanda. Scandinavian last names are connected to the father. Jonasolin, John's son, or Olaf's daughter. So it'd be Olaf's Dieter, the same pronunciation. So daughter of Deuter. So Olaf's Deuter. Did I get it? Did I get even close? Thank you, Fred Edwards. So welcome, Olaf's Duter, right? I'm trying. I am so trying. I'm so glad to see so many people from around the world and not just American centric in our chat. I love to cover stories across the pond and down in the global south too. So welcome. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Okay, let's get this shit show on the road since I am on YouTube. So we're going to say fair use for whatever good that does me. I am merely commentating on the clips that I'm bringing. I'm not trying to claim them as my own. And if you are interested in anything that I cover, because I only cover surface, please go do a deep dive and do your own research because the truth is out there. They just don't think you're going to go look for it. They think they have us brainwashed enough to where we won't go look for the truth. And if we find the truth, we'll think that it's a conspiracy, right? If you want to help me out, you can hit my PayPal, and all of the other donation links are in the chat below. Our link tree's got some pretty interesting stuff still on it. I don't know if the merch store is still up. It's still up. I don't think I linked to it anymore. We're looking for a new merch vendor for sure. And if you would like to help Roar Media nonprofit supporting women in independent media, we are building a cookbook. So submit your stories, recipes, photos, and more to roarmedia@pm.me. Or you can send it to me, send it to us, send it to any of our website or any of our emails. And it can be a picture with a story. It can be the recipe with the story of why it's special to you. We just want a community cookbook because we know there's a lot of good cooks out there and we all love to cook. So I say we do it. It'll be fun. And in case you guys didn't know, so from August 11th to August 13th, Roar Media is coming together for our first ever family gathering. Many of us haven't met in person or have only met once or twice. Do you guys know I have been doing a show with Oz the Boomer for 3.5 years now, and we've only met in person once. So I'm excited to go kick it at the Land of Oz, and we're going to have lots of good food and conversations. And of course, I'm going to be getting lots of video for you guys. I was thinking I can just set us all down outside one evening and just, turn the camera on and get you guys some good footage. The Land of Oz is so beautiful. I can't wait to show you. And we're excited for that. Get to hang out with Linda, get to hang out with Amber. Gonna be a good time. So yeah. And Oz's birthday is coming up right after it. So we should have a birthday shindig, I'm thinking. Okay, this day in history. Let's do it. Let's see. July 3rd, Carl Benz produces the first motor wagon. So the first automobile came off the assembly line in 1886. I always thought it was much later than that, but that makes sense, doesn't it? 1969, just weeks after being fired from the rock band, the Rolling Stones, British musician Brian Jones was found dead in his swimming pool. 1971, just a mere 2 years later, American singer and songwriter Jim Morrison, of course, was found dead in his Paris hotel bathtub, apparently of heart failure, joining the what they call it, the 27 Club. That's what it is, right? And birthdays. Today is Julian Assange's birthday, and I know you guys know that because I've been telling you for the last week that it was coming. There's amazing things happening all over the world. There's banner drops, there's gatherings, go check out Stella's Twitter page. She has been so busy. I think she met with some archbishops last week. So yeah, let's get the Catholics on board. But not only is it Julian Assange's birthday, it is Tom Cruise, the head of Scientology. You guys know I always rank on Scientology, and Scientology is having a bad gig this year, man. They're getting busted with all kinds of stuff. Of course, Danny Masterson was just found guilty of, I can't say the R word. I'm on YouTube, but he's going to be sentenced. And Scientology protected him. And what did we learn from that trial? Well, that Scientology and local police forces are hand in hand. She met the Pope? Oh my gosh. Thank you, Indy, for letting me know. I was hoping it was leading there because she was saying she was meeting with all these bishops and stuff. So, yeah, the Pope. They all answered to the Zionists at the end of the day. And let's see, one more birthday up here. That is Ellie King. Who knows who Ellie King is? Raise your hand if you know who Ellie King is. I love Ellie King. She is an amazing songwriter and singer. But not only that, she is the daughter of Rob Snyder, who you might have caught over on the Jimmy Dore show last week. That was a great interview before he went on vacay. But yeah, if you've never heard her music, go check out X's and O's. Love it. She's got a really deep, gravelly, kind of bluesy, soulful RFK Jr.'s daughter, Jilly. You're funny. No, she works at the CIA, doesn't she? Or was that his niece? I don't remember. Okay, let's talking about the CIA. Let's talk about DARPA boy. DARPA boy's raking in the money, ain't he? But everybody is upset about the Twitter limit. So it's set up now that if you aren't verified, meaning you don't have a blue check and you're not paying them $8 a month, you can only read 600 tweets a day. 600 tweets a day. And if you have a blue check, like I just happen to, I get 6,000 tweets a day. But here's my question. I see the same tweet over and over and over in my feed constantly. Is that counting towards my 6,000 every time I see the same tweet over and over? I don't know. Inquiring minds need to know this, but there's a little bit of information out there about this. And yeah, to address the extreme levels of data scalping and system manipulation, we are applying the following temporary limits. So temporary verified accounts are limited to reading 6,000 posts a day, unverified accounts 600 posts a day, and new unverified accounts only 300 posts a day. And then, yes, of course, rate limit exceeded. Yeah, my profit is down 42%. Your profit is down 42% so far. A lot of people pissed at Twitter. I'm leaving Twitter. That's it. We hear that every time Elon implements a change. And people are taking this as, an attack on our free speech and being able to move information. Well, there's a couple of different reasons that they're saying he did this. And one of them is to stop spam accounts and to stop data collection at a mass level. So this tweet from Mike Benz. Oh, crazy. I wonder if he's related to the Benz family that created the car that was out today. I don't know. Weird. Anyways, Mike Benz. Wow. Musk has no idea that the DARPA rattlesnake he just stepped on by doing this. So let's hear. This is an 8-minute one. I'm probably just going to let him go till we get the point. But the point is that he says he's doing this to stop mass data collection. So there's the tweet, and me reading 6,000 posts a day. That's too fucking funny. Haha. Like freedom of speech can only accept 6,000 tweets today. Okay, I'm going to have to pull this out and bring the actual video in because it was too large to rip for some reason. Is this it? No, that's Fred Edward. Here we go. It's just easier if I bring the original source in a lot of times than trying to download it, rip it, and move it onto the deck. So here we go.
A hike in beautiful Coldwater Canyon in Hollywood, and thought I would record my take on this new rate limit controversy happening right now on Twitter with Elon Musk limiting Twitter access to 6,000 and now 8,000 tweets per day for verified users and 600 to 800 for non-verified. And I'm going to sort of address this issue from the perspective of the censorship industry, because it's a really fascinating thing that Musk just did with wide-ranging implications for the science of censorship. So for those who've been following me and Foundation for Freedom Online for some time, you know that AI censorship is where all of the magic happens. The Twitter files showed how the FBI might come in and get 22 tweets censored, but AI was how EIP and other type of third-party censorship groups were able to get 22 million tweets censored. So the order of it's that's 6 orders of magnitude, right? It's a completely different animal you could not censor the internet before 2016 at the kind of scale that you do now, because you have AI censorship models. That is, there's a AI censorship Death Star that has been under construction and innovation and renovation, every week, every month, every year for the past 6-7 years now. And it all relies on massive scraping of Twitter data in order to build these models and databases to track trending narratives, to systematically surveil and build sort of intelligence dossiers, and to track and to turn down all at once communities online, political communities, social or public health communities, any climate communities. I mean, you name it. Whatever the sensitive policy issue of the day is, you can use this massive Twitter scraping capacity to ingest everyone's tweets and then disambiguate out all of the words that they're using, the hashtags, the themes, the memes, and to build this sort of code book of online communities that can then be used for mass censorship, that is used for mass censorship. So a good example of this is, how did EIP end up getting 22 million tweets classified as information? Well, first, they didn't flag 22 million by hand. This was something that Mehdi Hassan, the MSNBC host, flagrantly deceived his millions of viewers about. When he said, they only flagged 3,000, not 22 million, hardy, so you're only off by 21.7 million. No, you butthead. Actually, what happened is they used AI to designate 22 million because they scraped 859 million tweets to build their AI model, of which they said 22 million constituted misinformation, okay? So yeah, the 3,000 was just the tip of the 22 million iceberg, because back in the Twitter iteration before today, these third-party censorship consortiums could just mass ingest hundreds of millions of tweets all at once in order to build these vast censorship models in order to control all of public conversation all at once.
Okay, I let it go pretty far. You can go find it. It's Mike Benz on Twitter. And that makes a really good point of how they're censoring us, right? We knew that that's what they're doing to us. I mean, especially if you've been in independent media space like we have, we know damn well it's not them watching our videos and deciding they don't like us. It's the keywords we're putting in the descriptions. It's keywords that we're putting in the titles. It's known associates, right? What channels are other people watch this channel, right? If you go to Convo Couch, a lot of times you'll get a lot of us other independent that's suggested to you. That's how they're building our data against us. And yeah, I saw somebody say something. They're building a wall of data around us. Yeah, and we're letting them do it for free. Do I agree with DARPA boy and anything he does on Twitter? No, but let's be real, guys. Twitter, we've always known Twitter was a mass tool of the surveillance agencies. That's why we call him DARPA boy. And the fact that he got to buy Twitter, it wasn't because he wanted to buy Twitter. It's because DARPA wanted him to have control of Twitter. Ultimately, so they have control of Twitter. It's only on Twitter to keep us with Shanda, red face, red heart shape. You guys, so thanks, Jilly. Yeah, the platforms, they're bad. They're bad. We know they're bad. But how else are we going to get information moved back and forth to each other? And that's why it's been so important to build independent structures outside, take T-Lav, the Last American Vagabond. He's built his network off of the platforms. James Corbett built his network off of the platform because they knew a time was going to come when these voices are not going to absolutely be allowed on these platforms. And as we get further and further into the 2024 election and Silicon Valley has control of, the narrative, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And we've seen that the last couple of weeks. I think we've seen it get better, or worse. What do you guys think? Has it gotten better? I don't think so. I don't see it getting better. I don't see it getting better till we have a real revolution. That's until we draw that line and say, fuck you, no more. That's what, but look at what they're doing in France. I heard they shut the internet off in a lot of communities where a lot of these riots and protests were going down because they were so ashamed of the footage that got out the first couple of days, right? The footage I showed you, what was it, Friday or Thursday, was shocking, Well, we haven't seen much shocking video come out since then. And yeah, it's been a little bit quieter in France, but not that much quieter. I think their quietness has a lot to do with the fact that they don't have internet right now in a lot of places. So I don't know. We're just we're just fucked. That's the only thing I could come up with. Oh, I know. And any of those hardcore alarmists, yeah, no, no, we don't have hardcore climate alarmists in the chat, I don't believe. Most of our yes, Chris. James Corbett initially used YouTube to get his word out. As soon as they started censoring him and hitting him with strikes, he got the hell out of there. You know, what was that, good 2 years ago that we lost so many good creators on YouTube? Oh gosh, we used to be able to watch everybody on YouTube, right? I mean, you had Burmis and you had Last American Vagabond and James Corbett, and there's just so many. And now you have to go dig through other platforms, Rumble, or you have to go to their websites. I love that so many have built their own websites because that's so important. You know, that way you know how to get their information. So we'll still be able to get that information while we're allowed to access the servers that they're on. You know, basically, it just comes down to them wanting to stop us from reaching those servers. Then we don't get that information anymore, right? What happens when they change the law to where we can't go on foreign servers? We can't get information from foreign countries at all. Because I feel like that's what they want. That's a Biden administration would do that in a fucking heartbeat. But capitalism, I don't know how people can do business. So I don't, maybe capitalism's going to save us. Yeah, right. This cracked me up. So yeah, this is, what is this? The Post. Hunter Biden filmed himself smoking crack behind the wheel, driving at 172 miles an hour on his way to Vegas. Oh, party time. Party time. But you know, he's above the law and his daddy's president. So it doesn't matter. But if that was you, they'd throw you in prison for 10 fucking years, right? Maybe 20, maybe 20, because that's just reckless. That is so reckless. Do you know that the Hunter Biden had his attorney write a scathing letter to, was it the State Department? I think it was the State Department, or maybe it was the Department of Justice, just lambasting them for how dare you smear my name and investigate me. I had it on the deck and it disappeared, but oh my God, it was nauseating. And it was just more of this fucking pretend cartoon that we live in. You know, let's pretend that Hunter Biden hasn't done anything wrong. Let's pretend that, you know, he wasn't sitting on a board of Burisma and hooking the big guy up with 10%. Let's pretend, right? He's an upstanding citizen, and how dare our government smear his good name? How dare they? So if I find it, I'll throw it on the deck for Wednesday, but it was just nauseating stupid. And talking about nauseating and stupid, here we go. Biden.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
America is back.
Tonight, President Biden offers relief for millions of Americans burdened with federal student loans. The president pledged to wipe away thousands of dollars of college debt, and his administration is also proposing big changes to the repayment programs.
I campaigned for president. I made a commitment. That would provide student debt relief. And I'm honoring that commitment today.
Mr. President, why did you give millions of borrowers
they
false
woke 'em
hope?
up.
You've doubted your own authority here in the past.
I didn't give any false hope.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brett.
Yeah,
The
Brad.
question was whether or not I would do even more than was requested. What I did, I thought was appropriate and was able to be done and would get done. I didn't give borrowers false hope, but the Republicans snatched away the hope that they were given, and it's real hope. Thank you.
Mr. President, you canceled student debt.
Your authority. Did you overstep your authority?
I think the court misinterpreted the Constitution.
Mr. President, you you need to face.
Democrats have delivered big time.
So we're keeping our promises.
That was a f***ing lie.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
The biggest piece of dog shit. Now, we've been telling you this since he came out and said it. His own party was telling you that he can't do this. Don't you remember Pelosi drawing? All right, you can't do this. And but no, the Supreme Court, they interpreted the Constitution wrong, like they always do, right? Especially when they said corporations are big money. They really got that one wrong. But it looked like they woke him up, man. I guess the special K they've got him on isn't probably working as well, because that's the problem with these drugs is the more you take, the more you need. And it's kind of what took Hitler down. So we shall see. And yes, I saw somebody ask, does Hunter have kids? Yes, Hunter has, I want to say 3 or 4 kids. I know he had a couple with his first wife who he was just awful to. And then he went and had one with the stripper, right? And then he denied it was his kid. They had to do paternity. And now Biden will not recognize that child as his grandchild. You know, I grew up around that shit. I had an in-law that refused to recognize my child in the beginning. And it was horrible. It was horrible. But, you know, once I proved that she was their grandchild, and of course she was accepted. But Biden, no, he won't have anything to do with that child. So I feel sorry for those kids too. There's lots of pictures on Hunter's laptop of him hanging out with kids. Kind of scary, kind of gross too. Hope you can sleep at night. Oh, okay. So let's talk about Afghan withdrawal. Now, of course, we got a report last week that dropped that said they completely fucked up the Afghan withdrawal. Well, we knew that. We knew that, right? Well, they're saying there was no communication with the Pentagon. There was nobody in the State Department that was managing worst case scenarios, like what if the airport gets flooded and we can't get everybody out? You know, that what if we leave billions behind in equipment? That never crossed their mind. They didn't even care. But so when asked about it, this is what Biden had to say about it.
When he was asked about the State Department's damning findings on his administration's botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, we got this set of self-serving lies delivered via Biden's bizarro whispering shtick.
No, all the evidence is coming back there. Remember what I said about Afghanistan? I said Al-Qaeda would not be there. I said it wouldn't be there. I said we'd get help from the Taliban. What's happening now? What's going on? Read your press. I was right. Thanks.
So the report is from the State Department actually about the withdrawal.
Help from the Taliban? Read your press. I was right. Say what now, President? So you meant to hand the country over to terrorists. You meant to leave behind billions of dollars worth of arms for the Taliban. You meant to lose control of Kabul airport, stranding hundreds of desperate American citizens. You meant to have these scenes of chaos that saw Afghans trying to flee, falling to their deaths from the undercarriage of planes. Let's actually examine what you said and what your administration said in the lead up to that withdrawal and what really happened.
We'll not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We'll do it responsibly, deliberately, and safely.
Our embassy, of course, is remaining there and a presence there as well.
We're not withdrawing. We're staying. The embassy is staying.
But there's no intention right now to close the embassy or to close all the diplomatic presence. The situation in Kabul is calm right now.
The Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government. We are not going to walk away and not sustain their ability to maintain that force.
If there is a significant deterioration, I don't think it's going to be something that happens from a Friday to a Monday.
Do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam with some people feeling?
None whatsoever. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. The likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
So, yeah, there you go. It was highly unlikely. It wasn't going to happen. The Taliban came in and saved them, right? I mean, not that they didn't have any backdoor deals where, hey, we're going to leave you all of this. But I'd like to point out that the State Department has a different take on the Taliban when it comes to them outlawing and banning opium, right? Because that was let's be honest, that was a huge part of why we were in that country, bringing them liberty, right? We were bringing them freedom and liberty, and we were going to help them set up their infrastructure. Well, all that money, all those billions, who knows, probably trillions that we spent in Afghanistan, they had nothing. They pulled out over a weekend, and their whole infrastructure was lacking. Oh, come on. Oh, a Monday to Sunday ain't going to happen Friday to Sunday. Anthony, you are fucked up. And I just got to say, we haven't won a war in my whole entire life. Let's see. I was born at the end of the Vietnam War. We know how that went. Of course, we had the Iraqi, then the Afghani, all the other places that we're occupying. Why do we keep going to war? We don't win wars. We haven't won one in a long time. That's just my personal opinion. But Zoe, the elite, won't give us their power voluntarily. The working class must join together and take it by force. Damn right. We need to. Oh, okay. I had to bring this just to back up the Hunter Biden story. This was a United spot that was from Saturday night. Oz and I, we were a little chatty on Saturday night, but it was fun. Did you guys have fun hanging out on Saturday night? So there was a couple of slides that we jumped, but I brought them today. So you guys don't miss out. I made sure you brought them. You got them.
I keep forgetting what I walked out here for. I keep forgetting what was I supposed to say again. I keep forgetting, man, my head is not clear. I keep forgetting. All right, before we get started, I want to thank my sponsors, Dehydrated Water. Man, this stuff is life-changing, all right? What you want to do is you want to add 8 ounces of dehydrated water to a glass, and then you pour 12 ounces of water, then you stir it up, and then poof, you got 6 ounces of water to drink. Hey, can we get some ice cream? No, there are more important things than ice cream. That's right. Hey, come on, man. Nothing is more important than ice cream. Yeah, Joe. Come on, man, please. I said no. But I want ice cream now.
Joe, we said no.
I never get to do what I want to do. You're always making up my mind for me. Be quiet, Joel, or Hunter goes to jail. All right, I'll be quiet. Not this guy again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm pushing the right button. I'm not working this thing here. Hello? What? Hello, Brandon. Holy cow, the TV is talking to me. Joe, I don't have much time. Wow, the King of England knows my name. Hey, can I get your autograph? Are you really the last Beatle? What do you want to talk about, Joe? Well, my name is Joe, and Why are you reading a teleprompter? And I would lie 500 times, and I would lie 500 more, just to be the man who lies 1,000 lies and shows up at your door. Hey, honey, sorry to bother you, but can I talk to you?
Is this about Burisma?
No.
Is it about the Russian mob who has my laptop?
No.
Is this about the prostitutes and Parmesan cheese?
No, honey, no, it's not about any of that.
Well, is this like about the other laptops then, or?
No, son, I just wanted to talk to you.
Oh, okay.
Todd! What? How much longer? Just a few more minutes, honey.
Dad, I'm busy looking for Parmesan.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry, but did you say you wanted to borrow James Bond's crane?
No, Dad, I wanted to buy you crane.
Oh, you wanted to buy me a crane?
No, I wanted to buy you crane.
That's what I said. You wanted to buy me a crane.
No, Dad, I wanted to buy you crane.
Oh, thank you, son. I can't wait to play with my new crane. Hello? Hey, sorry about that, Stalin.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, right.
Stalin.
Hey, come on, man. I'm in the middle of something here. You know, son, I've never talked to you about your business dealings, right?
My business dealings?
Yeah, it's like I ain't never talked to you about your business dealings, right? Wink, wink.
You've never talked to me about my business dealings?
Yeah, I ain't never talked to you about your business dealings, right?
Dad, are you wearing a wire?
Can we get ice cream now?
Yes, Joe, we can go get ice cream.
Hey, come on, man.
Oh, look at him. He must be exhausted. 3 hours of work can do that to a man.
3 hours of work can do that to the man. Do you think he even does 3 hours of work? They just shove him out there and tell him to read the teleprompter. We know that. The sniffing's funny, isn't it? Good morning, Kate. I hope you're having a good time up there in the mountains, enjoying your holiday. Glad to see you stop by. Why? Come on, gotta move. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about France. Let's talk about France because the mainstream media is out there crafting a narrative. And like I said, they've actually shut down internet in some areas. And, I really just appreciate Richie Medhurst and everything that he works on yes, I love David Martin for sure. I will go get that clip. I love everything that Richie works on because he's always out there. He's dedicated to one topic, and that topic is, foreign policy and America. And let's just hear from Richie and his take of what is happening in France.
There are some rather unpleasant and ignorant people who think they can use the unrest in France as an opportunity to just blame migrants and Africans and so on. But you see, in the French system, whether you are green, black, Buddhist, Muslim, is irrelevant because you are considered French for centuries. What did France tell Algerians? You are French. And they even annexed Algeria. You live in the center of Paris, you live in the banlieue, you're French. Africans and Arabs whose grandparents even fought in the French army in World War I and World War II, they are French. So there's no distinction here except in the minds of racists and extremists. And when the football team, which is full of Africans and Muslims, wins the World Cup, I don't hear them complaining then. Now, this doesn't mean that you can just forget history and colonialism because France was built with the blood of Algerians. Its banks are filled with Mali's gold. Its homes are powered by Niger's uranium. Do you really believe that half of France is on fire right now because of some migrants? This entire issue was sparked by the police. They shot dead a 17-year-old boy and then lied about it. That is insanity. That is cruelty. And back in 2005, people also rioted. Why? Because the police again killed 2 teenage boys. These incidents just keep on happening, but this time it was captured on video, and that's why people are fuming. But Macron goes to his Elton John concert, and then he blames video games for the protests. Video games! Maybe his police officers play too many video games, and that's why they pulled out their guns on a 17-year-old without a driver's license, and one of them said, "I'm going to put a bullet in your head." Macron now wants to ban sensitive content on social media because it's embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
But dare Iran ban Twitter or Egypt cut off the internet, then Macron and the West will spring into their usual chorus of that's censorship and that's a dictatorship, no freedom of speech. If these images were coming out of Syria or Iran, the French president would be saying, step down, and Assad has to go. You're committing violence against your own citizens. You have no legitimacy. Do you think anyone in Brussels or Washington is going to say that to Macron and tell him to step down? Just 3 years ago, when he visited Lebanon, his advice to them was that you can't make people revolt. They just choose to revolt by themselves. Well, then maybe that's the case in France. People are just choosing to revolt. And that is their legitimate right. They're only his words. I agree, destroying public property is not nice. It's criminal behavior. But so is shooting a boy in the head. That is not just criminal behavior. It is outrageous state violence. And you cannot just pin that on migrants and blame minorities for that. Minorities cannot just set fire to entire French cities. That is ridiculous. This is an attempt to veer away from the core issue and just blame minorities. And what many of these racists and extremists don't tell you is that this anger in France has been fermenting and accumulating for years. You had the Yellow Vest protests, the demonstrations against the pension reforms, poverty, inflation, racism, and now the killing of this boy is the last straw. No one in France or Europe has the right to use the word invader and talk about hordes. Please, the only invaders here are the French who colonized Africa, colonized the Middle East, and colonized the countries of these migrants. They are the ones who created the refugees from Libya, the refugees from Syria, and elsewhere. On récolte ce qu'on sème. You reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow. And that's exactly it. So this narrative that they're trying to say that this is all race related and bullshit. Bullshit. We've been watching France on the edge. You know, the Tinder has been there for a long time. Yeah, was this a spark? There's many sparks. You know, changing their pension age, that was a spark. Fucking with their farmers, that was a spark. And Richie's right. This has been going on for years, and I don't expect anything less from the people of France. So, yeah, fuck their narrative. And Macron is a Rothschild's banker, Denver Attaway. Yeah, I've been screaming about Rothschilds for many, many years. I actually got attacked when I first started in independent media. We were with another channel, and I actually got attacked by another co-host commentator because how dare I be anti-Semitic and go after the Rothschilds. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm a Jew. I'm allowed to talk about the Rothschilds. I don't know. Crazy. And France shuts down internet. Let's check this out. I want to say this is Dabu 7. Sometimes he gets it right.
July the 2nd.
Oh, no, it's not Dabu.
Guys, this video is kind of a continuation from the one this morning. And it came out this afternoon at 1:20 by Jim Hoff with Gateway Pundit. We knew this was going to come, but what we're seeing in advance of what's coming to our country and a lot of others is what is now happening in France. It's a chess game that's been played for years and years. Create a problem, then create a trigger incident like the shooting that we saw that started these riots, and then create a problem, in other words, your order out of chaos. So we're reading two different things here, so keep your eyes open. And I'm going to read through it, and I know the light bulbs are going to be coming on. It said the Minister of the Interior in France announced on Sunday the country will restrict the internet access in certain neighborhoods as the violence continues across the country. According to the Ministry of the Interior, the restrictions are meant to prevent the use of social media and other platforms to organize violent activities. We understand that because you've seen the fires and the looting and the attacks. Everything you can name has been going on there. And they think the last I heard they had to pull in 45,000 police. But anyway, so again, you create the situation, create a trigger, then create the solution. Always.
So they got contingency plans upon contingency plans for this, right? They know that they're pushing on us, and they want to see how hard they can push on us before we draw the line and start pushing back. But once we do start pushing back, they got their ways. And they, that's what Event 201 was pre-COVID, I believe, was them getting all the scenarios out there of ways that they could manage and control the narrative. And how better way to control the narrative than to shut the fucking internet down? So I expect this to happen a lot more in the future as certain regions rise up. We won't be getting information out of those regions, and that'll be part of their authoritarian control, right? So let's move on to Zelensky. Jilly sent me this. Thank you, Jilly. So this is, I want to say this is Times Square this weekend. No Zelensky, no war. No Zelensky, no war. Kudos to whatever business actually put that up there, because is that Tiffany's? Tiffany's actually had that, but do they own that billboard? That's what I got to ask. I have a Tiffany's bag, like that some jewelry at some point came in, but I've never owned any Tiffany's that I know of. The Johnny Vedmore did a really great, I'm sorry I didn't bring it. He'd had a really great, interesting conversation this week, and I think it's over on his YouTube, but you can definitely find it at johnnyvedmore.com. And they were talking about the names that we don't know, right? For all those names that we drop, the Rothschilds and the Soroses and those playing God, the most powerful men in the world. There's so many that we don't know their name, because just like with the, the Godfather or the mobsters, you don't want recognition. You don't want anybody to know that you're in power. See, that's where Gotti fucked up, right? John Gotti, because he was too public. He wanted the attention. He wanted the people to think he was the cool guy. And so there's so many of these powerful elites that we don't know their names. And we don't know what they're controlling. And they really break that conversation down. And what they say about ultimately, there's about 600 or 6,000. And I think it breaks down to maybe 300 families all in all that are the ones that are actually, completely engulfed with the power. And we don't know their names. We really don't know their names. Gregory Walker, Shandog. I've been saying the same thing Richie was saying about France and the West. I've been saying it about NATO and Ukraine. When the mainstream media was saying Russia attacked Poland, Article 5, there must be blood, until 5 minutes later, it was Ukraine that attacked Poland. It was just an accident, even though Ukraine is not a part of NATO, right? Right. We're going to see more and more of it. Sadly. So sadly. The real power is cloaked in secrecy, Kim. Abso-freaking-lutely right. We don't know who the real power is. It isn't these puppets that they parade out in front of us. Biden and Macron and Trudeau and, the list goes on and on. The young global leaders that, have been put into play by mainly this asshole. So the WEF calls on world governance to advance cashless societies. Yeah, we got to hurry up and get that implemented so we can control everything. The WEF is not right wing or left wing. They are no wing. They want genetically designed human slaves. They don't like or want you in their future. You will own nothing and be happy. We will be gods. We will own you. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to, right? They don't need God because they are God. And we will be genetically modified human slaves because that's all they need us for. They really don't need us for much once, robotics takes over, and they don't need us to be in their factories any longer, right? That's the only reason they educated us, is because they needed us in the fucking factories. And then now they're like, oh, shit, they're getting too smart. We got to dumb them down again. So good news. Soros has turned over his foundation to his son, Alex. So hundreds to lose jobs as George Soros Foundation after son's takeover. The succession of the Open Society Foundation, previously controlled by conservative billionaire. Funny, conservative billionaire. Or is that controversial? Maybe I should put my glasses on. George Soros, his son, Alex Soros, is prepared to downsize its workforce by at least 40%. Does that mean they'll be doing 40% less evil? I heard the funniest story about Alex Soros the other day. He, in the late 80s, his father brought a man in and he said, this is the future of the Soros empire, whatever. This is who's going to take over. And Alex just looked at him and laughed and said, you're the 10th person that I've met that he has told me is going to take over. And you see none of them here. So Alex, he knew his whole entire life that he would be taking over for old Daddy Pops there. And he seems to be worse. I mean, the few things that I have seen from this guy, oh my God, being raised by somebody so cold and evil as Soros, his son is, I mean, they say the apple doesn't fall far. Well, this one didn't fall far at all. It's on the same fucking tree. So, yeah. I guess if you're working at the Soros Foundation, you kind of get what you get. So I'm not going to feel sad that you're losing your job, because all the Soros Foundation does is meddle, put money where it shouldn't be. This is money of speech. That he is money of speech for fucking sure. So the growing cash piles in Moscow that investors can't touch, foreign investors are still earning income from Russia's assets. Most believe they'll never be able to access that cash. And that is absolutely not true. You can move you can move it. You got to move it maybe between rubles or euros or something, but you can move it. If you had an American account with a ton of money in it and you wanted to move it to Russia, you can move it that way, and vice versa. From what I understand, you get a hell of a lot of charges. So, but yeah, these investors, Russia's not hurting, right? I mean, we see it from Fee. We see it from Randy Critico. We see it from Tara Reid. We have so many people that are over there on the ground going, we don't know what the hell they're talking about. You guys are hurting worse than Russia is. That's the reality of it. So yeah, I think there's some big nest eggs being built in Russia right now, just because of, sanctions and the way the sanctions are. I don't know where this came from. And is it real? You guys tell me. Zelensky used to be a game show host, right? He used to host Ukrainian Voice or something. I mean, we've seen some crazy videos, but I had never seen this one before. Check it out. I don't believe that's a reface. You guys think? Is it a reface? I don't think that's a reface. I actually think that's him. I mean, it's a fucking cartoon we live in. This is a cartoon. I mean, we don't have a lot of room to talk. We had Trump, an actual game show host, and let's not forget Reagan, right? And Arnie, he would be president if we'd let him, and that's for sure. But yeah, we just pick actors, and that's all he is. He's an actor acting. And he's sure gotten rich doing it, hasn't he? So this little clip, I had 2 Jeffrey Sachs clips for you, and I still have the other one, which is really interesting because he states that Putin and Biden have not had a conversation since 2019, which makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. So I will bring you guys that clip, but this is a better clip. This is about how long we've actually been in this Ukraine proxy war.
I believe the war started 9 years ago, not last year. I think it started in February 2014. It started with the violent overthrow of President Yanukovych, which I attribute to a significant extent to U.S. Participation in a regime change operation in Ukraine. And to my mind, that really was the trigger of this war, meaning that we are basically seeing a proxy war between the United States and Russia, plus both sides playing on the very aggravated ethnic divisions within Ukraine. So Ukraine is a divided country, ethnically, historically, but that meant that there was competition between the United States and Russia for control, for influence, even for putting military bases and the US-NATO alliance.
Biolabs.
I view the lack of prudence by both sides, but since I'm an American, I will focus on the lack of American prudence as being absolutely central to this. If the United States had sense, and by the United States, I don't mean the American people, they're never asked about any of these things. This has nothing to do with the American people. This is to do with a small group in Washington, in power. You could call it the military-industrial complex. It's a fair name for it. They don't have prudence. And we are at war because of that lack of prudence, in my view. I don't think anything specific about Putin's personality plays any important role in this. I don't think that this is some idea of recreating the Russian Empire. By the way, we hear lots of things in the mainstream media, which to my mind are completely unrecognizable regarding the truth.
I'm so thankful that we have voices like Jeffrey Sachs. And yeah, he gets his mic cut all the time because he is dropping real truth. And that is the truth. And I've believed that since day one. I had an eye on the Ukrainian war in 2014, 15, 16. Who was it? Oliver Stone did a really good look at it, right? When he was over there and he interviewed Putin and stuff. But as Americans, we weren't supposed to be watching that. We weren't allowed to watch that. And if you watched it, then, oh my God, you were Putin puppet. And he is spot on, Midnight Karma. Absolutely spot on. Is that Daniel Ellsberg sitting next to him? I think it is. Rest in peace, Daniel. That's sad. Anyways, Jeffrey always killing it. And as we get further into this totalitarian state that we are finding ourselves in, voices like his are going to be harder and harder to find anywhere in the mainstream. And I love that he gets in those spaces because we don't get truth in those spaces very often, right? The places that he gets to go. So shout out to Jeffrey. Let's see. Don't stop talking about Palestine. Yeah, don't. I mean, did you guys see the bulldozers in there? I didn't bring the video because it's just so heart-wrenching. But we have to be talking about it. We have to be sharing these videos, and we have to take that being called an anti-Semite, right? Oh, you're such an anti-Semite because you talk about Palestine. You know what? I don't wish harm on Israel. I don't wish harm on Jewish people, and I don't wish harm on Palestinian people. Why is that so fucking hard to understand? If you guys are forcing me to pick a side, I don't want to pick a side. I want you guys to just stop. Israel has the right to protect its citizens' population. Seriously? Murdering grandmothers and 5-year-old girls? Amazing. No EU calls to sanction apartheid Israel, send arms to Gaza so people can defend themselves. Sycophants and hypocrites. You tell them, Claire. Gosh. Yeah, Claire, that's what we ordered when we got AOC, and we ended up with AOC, sadly. We wanted Claire Daly. Love Claire Daly. Oh, you guys, Trump was busy this weekend. All of the presidential candidates are out there being busy this weekend, right? Robert Kennedy Jr. has a big shindig plan. I see advertised. So there should be some good, clips from that. But Trump was busy this weekend, and Lindsey Graham decided to jump out on the campaign trail with him and got booed savagely by the Trump supporters as they chanted "traitor" in his face. Now, I'm going to go grab you guys these videos. They weren't up anywhere. I found them embedded in an article. So they're funny. Oh my God. And he's so oblivious to it. Oh my God. It's just freaking hilarious. Check this out. Okay. Is that the first one? I want to go to. Okay. The first one, nobody gives a shit. I think the second one's the funnier of the two.
United States Senator Lindsey Graham.
Thank y'all.
Welcome to Pickens. Thank y'all for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a bunch. Well, you want to find something in common? All right. Thank y'all. Thank you all very much.
Why does he keep thinking?
Welcome to Pickens County. A little bit about this county. Just calm down for a second. I think you'll like this. Pickens County has more Medal of Honor winners per capita than any place in the nation. I was born in this county. I live 15 miles down the road. This is a place where people pay the taxes, fight the wars, and tell you what they believe. How many of you believe that Donald Trump was a great president? So let me tell you a little bit about me and President Trump. What happened? I found common ground with President Trump. It took a while to get there, folks. But let me tell you what happened. I come to like President Trump.
Oh, wasn't that nauseating? And yes, they were booing him. They were calling him a traitor. And he just keeps thanking him. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. As they're calling him a fucking traitor. Lindsey, you might have a problem when it comes to re-election when your own party, the base of your own party is booing you this hard. But don't worry. You guys have got it in the bag because, you control those levers of elections. And we know it. So I just thought that was amusing. Let's see, get rid of that. I listened to some of that speech and it was just disgusting. The whole time I was listening to it, I was just like, oh God, how easily we forget how terrible Trump was, right? I mean, we're so wrapped up in the fact that Biden sucks and is fucking us over so bad. We just really have lost. It's kind of like when a woman gives birth, right? They say you forget the pain because if you remembered the pain, you would never have another child. I think that's where we're at, guys. I think we've forgotten the pain of how bad Trump was because Biden is so bad. But let us not forget how terrible it was under Biden and the Republicans. I know you guys don't forget. I got this from Caitlin Johnstone. You know what? I'm going to go over to the other because it's bigger. Okay. Ask who benefits from the mass media's continuing focus on the misdeeds of nations their government doesn't like while ignoring their own government's abuses of the needful and marginalized and the disobedient. Ask who benefits from ordinary people being too busy getting their bills paid to learn about what's going on in the world. Now, that's a big one. Ask who benefits from those asking the questions who are being labeled crackpots and conspiracy theorists. Great point. Ask who benefits from the widespread assumption that how things are is the only way they can be. That's one we all have to get past, right? I really need to get past that one. Like, oh, what can we do? Ask who benefits from the widespread assumption that the status quo is irrelevant and resistance is futile. Yes. Ask who benefits from your beliefs about what's possible and what's impossible. Ask who benefits from each of your beliefs about the world. Ask who benefits from each of your beliefs about humankind. Ask who benefits from each of your beliefs about yourself and how you should be. And ask who benefits from these beliefs, not just among the powerful, but among the people you know in your own life who put the beliefs in your mind and why might they have done so. And I'll just tell you now, I know a lot of my beliefs came from my parents, right? And why? Because they believed it. They believed it, so therefore I believed it. And their parents believed it, right? And their grandparents believed it. That's how a lot of this indoctrination has been handed down. Absolutely. Caitlin, always doing a great job. Caitlin Johnstone, make sure you're following her. So this is bad news, guys. The wait for U.S. passports is creating travel purgatories and snarling summer plans. So you guys know I went and got my passport in January and I was told it was going to be a 6-week wait because of COVID. And I waited 3 weeks, I think, to get an appointment with the post office to go process it. But ultimately, I got it within like 4 weeks of my appointment. Pretty reasonable what they told me, 4 to 6 weeks, and it came in the mail. And it didn't seem to be a backup. Now, that was a mere 6 months ago. So grim is the outlook that the U.S. officials aren't even denying the problem of predicting what will ease it. They don't know what's going to ease it. They're blaming the epic wait times on the lingering pandemic. Yeah, it was the pandemic. Related staff shortages. Oh, well, yeah, we have been pretty brutal to the post office or to, UPS, USPS, and pausing online processing for this year. What? Why the fuck would they do that? That's left the passport agency flooded with a record-busting 500,000 applications a week. 500,000. So that'll top 22 million passports issued in a year. Could it have something to do with the fact that Americans are waking up and wanting to get the fuck out of here? Just saying. I mean, I'm sure some people waited during the pandemic not to get it because it was the pandemic and I can't travel because it's the pandemic. So, okay, we'll say a percentage of that 500,000 a fucking week are people that wanted to get out there and travel. But I'm going to say it's a huge portion of people that are like, I might need to get the fuck out of this country and I might need to get out fast. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. I know I got mine and I'm happy. Promises everything, delivers nothing, blame someone else. Another 500 million to Ukraine. I'm close to going homeless, and I even thought I worked 3 jobs though. Eat shit and die. Yeah, that is how our government treats us. 100%. I mean, we know that by, what we're seeing. And we're going to get to the homeless. I brought you guys a couple of homeless reports, and oh my gosh, they're shocking. But first, let's talk about civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is not our problem. Our problem is civil obedience. Our problem is that people all over the world have obeyed the dictates of leaders, and millions have been killed because of this obedience. Our problem is that people are obedient all over the world in the face of poverty, starvation, stupidity, wars, and cruelty. Our problem is that people are obedient when the jails are full of petty thieves and the grand thieves are running the country. That's our problem. Howard Zinn. Yes. That's so true. We just keep being obedient. Please starve us. May I have another? Please take my home. May I have another? Please take my retirement. May I have another? I mean, that's how we live, right? Definitely. Walgreens to close 150 stores across the U.S. as pharmacy chains face emerging challenges. I know Big Pharma's got it so rough, and so does Walgreens and Rite Aid and all these other shitty chains that treat you like crap, take forever to fill your medications, and there's one on every quarter. So 150 stores, I think we can lose some. I mean, let's be real. How many major towns have 4 or 5 fucking Walgreens? And they're right across the street from a Rite Aid, this was almost why is this happening when these started popping up 10, 15 years ago on every fucking street corner? Well, it was Big Pharma taking over the world, but, they didn't want you to know that. They just wanted you to think that it was convenient. You could drive through to get your oxycodone. So goodbye, Walgreens. I'm not sad to see you go. I feel bad for the people that work there, but, they're probably going to blame it on, bad areas, looting, high crime. We couldn't keep the store open because it was high crime. I'm sure that is a lot of their excuses, right? This is really sad. So my wife had cancer, and it took 5 months to wipe out 20 years of life savings, and that was with insurance. The experience has turned me into a hateful, bitter person. We did everything we were told. We went to college. We got degrees. We avoided credit card debt. We spent wisely, saved a nice little chunk of money in a savings account and retirement account, and minded our own business. The U.S. healthcare system took all of our savings and retirement and forced us to refinance our home so that we lost all the equity, 15 years of equity. This is a country I'm supposed to be proud of. I hate this system and anyone that defends it. Absolutely. You should not have to lose your home or your savings because you got sick in the richest country in the history of the frickin' world. But that is the reality for literally millions of Americans right now. And as much as we scream universal health care, and I'm going to keep screaming universal health care because we have to keep screaming at the systems that be. I don't know if our country is capable, definitely with the authoritarians that are in control now, of rolling something out universal health care wise that's not going to be an authoritarian overreach and control of your bodily autonomy, right? But we're going to keep screaming about it because it's not right. It's not right that people should lose everything they have because they got sick, because they're poisoning us, And they don't care if you're homeless. They don't care if you're on the streets. And they don't care that rent is unobtainable for most working Americans. I brought a report 6 months ago that said there wasn't one state in the country that you could afford to rent a home on minimum wage. Not one. Well, check this out. So Tampa Bay, Florida, $800. And I got to tell you, this is probably a pretty good deal.
All right, here we go. So I finally found something in Tampa that was under $1,000 a month. Now this place is a little cozy. It's a one studio apartment. Like I always say, it may not be for everyone, but I find properties that people are looking for that's low rent that can help them in the long run. So we got the living room / dining room right there. We got tile everywhere. We're coming up on the kitchen. And I do like that they put granite countertops in there.
Coming up on the kitchen. Dude, you're standing in the kitchen.
That's a nice touch. We coming over to the bathroom. So it's tile everywhere. It's a cozy place. It's by Fletcher and 22nd. DM me for details. I'll send you the property manager's number. All right, that's it.
That is just sad. That is just sad. $800 a month for a tool shed. Let's be honest. That was a goddamn tool shed that somebody put a bunch of tile in, threw a stove in there, and it probably already had a bathroom because a lot of those outdoor sheds do. And now let's rent it out, right? You know, I've lived in a lot of spaces that small or even freaking smaller. I did 10 years living in some these tiny, tiny apartments that were built for the railroad workers at the turn of the 20th century. And they were old. They had all the original faucets and sinks in them. And yeah, I mean, $800 a month, Tampa Bay. And that's a deal. But what do you do if you can't afford $800 a month, right? You end up on the streets. So the homeless population in LA County exceeds 75,000, showing a 10% increase from last year. Now, we know that these numbers are always low, right? I've gone out and done homeless counts before. You're just counting the heads that you can like physically see. Oh, okay, this person, that person, right? And I'm exhausted, but I think I'm going to have to keep working. The over 65s who can't afford to retire, many of those who have left the workplace are being forced to return by the cost of living crisis to bolster their finances. And that is the reality of America nowadays, right? The Walmart door grader probably retired from a good job from 20 years ago, but now that $800 pension check that he thought he was going to live on till his end days, it's not covering his rent. So now he's got to go out and get another job at 70 years old or 72 years old. This is heartbreaking. We don't give two shits about humans at all in our country. I mean, we pretend well, but we really don't have two shits to give. And Yona, are you hanging out, Yona? I love this. I got this from Yona. It's a Grand Theft World remix. This is a local Yoko. It is a little long. It's about 5 minutes, but the footage in it is so good because this is a reality for so many Americans. I've lived like this, and you'll see it. You'll see it. And it's a good tune, too.
Chelsea is one of the new homeless in Brevard. Since March, she's been living out of her car at night, parks at a Merritt Island Walmart because there are cameras. She's working and has a membership at a health club chain so she can shower.
No, I try to be as private about it because it is so embarrassing. I don't want people to know, but I also look around and I wonder how many other people are just like me, like just trying to make it, just trying to survive.
Behind the wheel, no breakfast meal. Time cards punched and then skip lunch. The customers served right from the curb. No stranger to this land, the struggles at hand. Local Yoko, now work your job, then dumpster dive a corn cob. Local Yoko, your secrets kept from all. Change uniform in a bathroom stall. Clock out, head out, and drive away. Go ride and hide and sleep till day. DoorDash, shine for cash, bus boy, dishwasher. Homeless, boneless, taxes withheld. Local Yoko, full time each week with fresh garbage can feasts. Local Yoko, so invisible to all. Collect your cigarette butts from the shopping mall. Ignore cardboard and walk away. So per century words fully deprecate. The least are just fees to throw away. No hearse to reimburse, only poverty it's time to dance. Wipe leaves from your pants. Back to the drive-thru, smiling to serve you. Hey Orlando, don't you scare away your tourist. Clench that money so tightly in your fist. Hey Orlando, Bright Line train now exists. Feeding ordinance, you better not resist. Local yokel, grieving dads and moms. One last meal with food, dog bombs. Local yokel, rush hour bus running late. No more suffering, finally got a break.
DJ Yona, thank you so much. Great work. I love that you're raising awareness. I love when art comes together with a message. And yeah, I saw people in the chat like, oh, this looks like so-and-so, or this looks like close to me. This is all over America right now. And unless you've ever lived like that, it's not easy. What people think that, oh, well, they just gave up on life and they got it easy now. It is so much fucking harder to live when you're living in a vehicle, or, you know, you're living in an RV, moving from place to place. You never have water. You never know when you're going to shower or clean. You don't have an address. You know, there's just so much that goes with being homeless in this country that people just don't factor in. And yeah, Yona is a treasure. Isn't Yona a treasure? Good job, Yona. I love it. This was a story that got cut from Saturday night. This was the ice cream story. So they are putting security lids on ice cream. It's a cardboard container. Can you just cut it off with a sharp knife? Is this really stopping anybody from stealing anything? Keep their ice cream under lock and key. This is just crazy. This is the reality. This is the craziness. Lock and key for a $5 ice cream. And what's the most that could be? $8? $8 even with inflation? That's just insane. Couldn't you just take a serrated knife and cut the cardboard, cut the top right off? You might lose a half-inch ice cream or something, but that's just insane to me. And they're not deterring anything. I see you guys talking about Green Party. Hi, Chad. I saw Chad sitting here. Yeah, I know Jill Stein's still collecting on 2016. I don't know who's giving her money for 2016 still. You got to be fucking delusional. Vic, what did you drop? You know what? I have my Stein and Cheryl 2012 shirt. I have a Green Party shirt from 2012 because, you know, I'm cool that way. Do I have a Green Party shirt from 2016? I might. I think I do. I have a shit ton of buttons. I know that. I was the official button lady during 2016. I partnered up with somebody who loved to make buttons, was kind of an introvert. So she made me 10,000 buttons and I took them across the country, passing them out. I mean, there was every kind of Bernie button imaginable. There was every kind of Jill button imaginable. So I still have thousands and thousands of buttons that I don't want, Maybe someday I'll auction them off, or maybe they'll be worth something for my grandkids. I don't know. What do you do with all the old gear that you don't give a shit about? This is interesting. Did you guys see this? This is a dragon out of drones. These are all drones. Check it out. I'm going to pause, or I'm going to kill the sound just because I'm afraid YouTube will get. Isn't that cool? They're all drones. Look at how in sync they are. But yeah, no, UFOs are real. Don't believe it's your government, because they don't have that kind of technology at all. At all. They stay so perfectly synced with each other. I'm sitting here looking at individual ones to see if they get, is one out of the way? Yeah, kind of, I guess. I don't know. Crazy drone footage. Ooh, badass. Yeah. China, you guys always do stuff cool. Maybe that was Japan. I don't know. Okay, Snowden, we will finally listen to you. Ed has been begging us to listen to him for 4 days now, and I keep moving him from deck to deck. So, okay, Ed, we'll listen. Let's hear what Ed Snowden has to say. Why is there no sound, Ed? Oh, because I muted it. Come on. I don't want the slide. I want the sound. Oh, my gosh. You guys see that? It's just messing with me. Okay, we'll do this.
Always willing to return home. I would return home tomorrow.
Well, no, you're supposed to play. Okay.
That I'm always willing to return home. I would return home tomorrow as long as the government was prepared to be reasonable and protect the interests of our rights in society.
Following the publication of Seymour Hersh's article, which exposed how the secretive U.S. deep state sabotaged the Nord Stream pipeline, the mainstream media instantly perked up, aligning themselves and disregarding the story. Instead, they chose to divert their attention to an inflated tale, a UFO invasion narrative. Remarkably, this UFO story seemed to be conveniently prepared and ready to be unveiled at a moment's notice. It was as if they were eagerly waiting for the opportune moment to unleash it upon the masses. The media channels began bombarding the public with sensationalized reports about possible Chinese balloons attacking the United States, suggesting that we were on the brink of an invasion. Their intention was to divert our focus away from the real issues at hand. Don't look over there, they urged. Instead, look over here. They deliberately tried to steer our attention away from important matters, ensuring that we averted our eyes from the truth they didn't want us to see. Edward Snowden, an outspoken advocate for transparency and accountability, echoed these sentiments. He cautioned us against falling for these distractions. In a recent statement, he candidly stated that it wasn't about extraterrestrial beings, even though he wished it were. Instead, it was just another orchestrated scheme, a deliberately manufactured panic designed to captivate and divert our attention from critical concerns. By doing so, national security reporters would be assigned to investigate the trivial matter of balloons rather than focusing on weighty topics like budgets or actual bombings, such as the ones affecting the Nord Stream pipeline. It's important to heed Snowden's warning and resist being captivated by these calculated distractions. This orchestrated commotion is merely a ploy to keep us occupied with trivialities while the real issues remain unresolved. We must remain vigilant and not allow ourselves to be manipulated by such tactics until the next time, as Snowden aptly concludes, we must stay alert and not lose sight of what truly matters. This particular aspect hadn't initially crossed Edward Snowden's mind, but he was completely correct. The strategy employed by the Pentagon was rather shrewd. They orchestrated press briefings to capture the attention of newsrooms, ensuring that everyone's focus shifted toward the balloon and UFO stories. The urgency was palpable as national security reporters received urgent calls to rush down to the White House. The Pentagon had scheduled a briefing, and even the National Security Council was convening a meeting. Despite the lingering concerns about the Nord Stream pipeline expose from the previous week, the orders were crystal clear. Newsrooms were to prioritize covering the new press conference. A bewildered employee hesitantly questioned their boss, expressing doubts about leaving the Nord Stream pipeline story behind. However, Their reservations were quickly dismissed, emphasizing the importance of the imminent press conference, and as the Pentagon would subsequently acknowledge, this diversionary tactic was a stroke of genius. It successfully captivated the attention of the newsrooms, causing a swift shift in focus. Everyone snapped to attention, fully engrossed in the unfolding events. Edward wholeheartedly agreed with the astute observation made earlier that this orchestrated distraction couldn't be understated. Something monumental was unfolding right before their eyes, and it was clear that a grand plan was in motion, he said, masterminded by the elusive deep state government. Snowden believes that the clandestine government operations were deceptively masked under the pretext of an alien UFO invasion.
That is a really good breakdown. I will tweet that out after the show so you guys can watch the whole thing, because Snowden breaks down the fact that there's narratives that are being fed to those who have classified clearance. So they think that this is actually happening, but it's all a ruse, right? It's all being fed to them. They're like, oh, well, this is classified. Nobody knows about this information. It's a narrative that the classified intels are being fed. And he talks about the actual information that they don't put up on servers, that never make it onto a computer screen, and how they're locked away in file cabinets with actual guards guarding them. So yeah, thank you, Snowden, for reminding us to keep looking. When they tell you to look here, make sure you're looking all around you, because they're always trying to refocus your attention, right? We've seen this for so many things. It's just constant, ongoing. We got a couple of super chats I want to get. Let's see. This one's DC life hack. If you plan on stealing ice cream, walk around till it melts and then watch as security falls over each other as you leave a trail on the floor. That's funny. I don't know what you're talking about. Aaron, thank you so much for the Super Ray over on the Rokfin. Thank you, Chanda, for making TPP great. When is the Argentina trip? October is the Argentina trip, but we've got the Land of Oz coming up in August, so we got a few things we're going to be doing. So we appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for the support. Remember to be kind. Be kind. Everybody's allowed their opinions. Some people have seen things that other people haven't seen, so that's why they have the opinions that they have. But you guys know that we're open-minded here, right? We're very open-minded. So who sent me this? One of you guys sent me this. Maybe it was Fred Edwards, Harry Worth. You guys know that I love TrueStream. TrueStream Media, Melissa, and is it Andrew Drake? They do a great job. And if you haven't seen the new episode of Black Mirror, it's the 6th season, right? Go watch it, because there's some pretty pertinent stuff on there that they're talking about, and that is the sale of your digital AI, right? We can all have a digital AI, and the stars will be having digital AIs too. But check out this story that happened to a man who had an Amazon delivery come to his house, and his Ring cam said something racist to the Amazon delivery driver. So Amazon took it into their responsibility to shut all of his systems down and lock him out till they figured out why the Ring cam was being racist.
Medium about how he was unfairly locked out of his Amazon devices, which were the primary interface that he had with his smart home, after a misunderstanding about an alleged racist comment was reported to the headquarters by an Amazon driver making a delivery to Jackson's house. So I want to read this to you. It's a pretty short read. He says, the sequence of events that led to the digital exile began innocuously enough. A package was delivered to his house on Wednesday, May 24th, and everything seemed fine. The following day, however, he found out that his Echo Show device had signed him out, and he was unable to interact with his smart home devices. So he calls customer service, and the representative tells him that he should have received an email, which he did find in his inbox, from an executive at Amazon. And so he called them thinking that this might be a scam, like he didn't know what the hell was going on. When I connected with the executive, they asked if I knew why my account had been locked. When I answered I was unsure, their tone turned somewhat accusatory. I was told that the driver who delivered my package reported receiving racist remarks from my Ring doorbell. And he says it was a Eufy, but I'll let that slide. So he has a smart doorbell on his home that records everything when people come to the door. He says, here's where things got even more baffling. First, I have multiple cameras recording everything that happens on my property. So he has surveillanced himself. He's got everything smart home enabled, and he's got cameras everywhere, Ring doorbell, well, Eufy doorbell, whatever, the whole nine, okay? If the driver's claims were accurate, I could easily verify them with video footage. Second, most delivery drivers in my area share the same race as me and my family. It seemed highly unlikely that we would make such remarks. Finally, when I asked what time the alleged incident occurred, I realized it was practically impossible for anyone in my house to have made those comments, as nobody was even home around that time at approximately 6:05 p.m. I reviewed the footage and confirmed that no such comments had been made. Instead, the Eufy doorbell issued an automated response, "Excuse me, can I help you?" The driver who was walking away wearing headphones must have misinterpreted the message. Nevertheless, by the following day, my Amazon account was locked and all of my Echo devices were logged out. Then he says, let me be clear, I fully support Amazon taking measures to ensure the safety of their drivers.
Of course he does.
However, I question why my entire smart home system had to be rendered unusable during their internal investigation. And he talks about how he has his system on some local thing, so he actually could access it through other means, but a lot of people cannot access it through other means. If this were to happen to them, that would be their one way of accessing their smart house, and they would not have access to it. It seems more sensible to impose a temporary delivery restriction or purchasing ban on my account. So he's actually calling for that, but anyway, we'll get to my perspective on this after I finish reading this to you. Submitting video evidence from multiple angles right after my initial call with the executive appeared to have little impact on their decision to disable my account. So after this alleged incident took place and the delivery driver made a complaint about him for making racist remarks, he was just auto-logged out of his account. He was automatically logged out of his accounts. He could not access his smart devices that he paid for through Amazon, and thus he couldn't access his smart house. And even when he finally figured out what was going on and tried to turn in evidence to show that this event never took place, which he had video of and footage and everything, it still didn't change. Like, they didn't restore access as soon as he turned in that evidence. An investigation was triggered that had to be carried out before they would let him have access to his devices again. He says, despite promptly submitting video evidence immediately upon learning of the issue, my account remained locked. Despite numerous calls and emails, it wasn't until Friday afternoon that I received confirmation the investigation had started. I was told to expect a response within 2 business days, meaning not until Tuesday of the following week at the earliest. In the end, my account was unlocked on Wednesday, with no follow-up email to inform me of the resolution. This incident stands as a stark reminder of the need for better customer service and a more nuanced approach to incident management. So let's break this down, okay? In this article, Jackson's upset that his account was locked and his smart home system was essentially rendered unusable, pending an internal investigation by Amazon. And Amazon can say this is about delivery driver safety, but if laws were actually broken in regard to that, we already have laws. We already have laws in this country for things like that, right? The police would have gotten involved. But this is not a situation where a crime, as we know of law and order and crime in this country, that's not a crime. Saying something rude to your delivery driver is not a crime. Like, it's not cool, don't be a jerk, but I mean, that's not a crime though. So this is some extrajudicial corporate policy situation that's a totally different set of rules that are being applied. They're not laws, right? But it's being applied to people and their devices that they connect to their house with to control temperature and lighting and other things in their home.
Basically,
so
everything.
Now we're living in a world where essentially people can be accused of saying something derogatory about a delivery driver through a smart doorbell. And whatever that is, which the article just says racist remarks, but whatever that is, it's enough to trigger a person being locked out of the devices they paid for, possibly locked out of control of major systems in their home, without having any access to defending themselves before an internal investigation process, a corporate internal investigation process is triggered that they also don't really have any access to or due process with.
That is just crazy. What are you going to do when your toaster's calling the post person a bigot? What are you going to do? And then they can just shut you down. There was no law broken. This is just the authoritarian overreach that we allowed Amazon to have. I will not have a smart home. I don't have to worry about that. I will be too poor to ever be able to afford that type of technology in my home. I don't even have a dishwasher. That's how far behind the lines at times I am. So I don't have to worry about that. But for the people that do have this, you're just handing control over to them. So they get to set the rules, right? Because you're the one who's marking that I agree to the terms and conditions, and we're not reading the fine print. And that's where the Black Mirror episode comes in, because ultimately we're just giving control. Here, you have full control over my house via all these devices. Please do what with me that you will. So, and they will, it sounds like. That is just crazy. What could he have possibly heard that door say? I mean, that was racist. That's insane. But yeah, this is the future. Please go follow Truth Stream Media. I've loved their channel and their research since 2016. They did the best extensive cover of the 2016 DNC fiasco. It's called Batshittery at the DNC, and amazing job they did. So, and you might not know this, they were researchers for the Alex Jones show. That's how they got their start. They met and fell in love working for Alex Jones. And I've said this for many years, that some of the best researchers in independent media came through Alex Jones. Like it or hate it, but that's the reality of it. So, okay, let's get into the COVID narrative just a little bit. We are on YouTube this morning, so we won't be going crazy. Hopefully this don't get me, but if it does, it does.
Human rights attorney Lee Dundas. Some years ago, two men sat at a table discussing the most effective way to usher in war. Their decision after discussion was to close non-essential businesses and further quarantine certain members of society to prevent the spread of disease known as typhus. These men's names? Joseph Goebbels and Adolf Hitler. You think you're special. I am here to tell you, you are not. You are the new Fourth Reich. And I have news for you today. We will not be locking down or taking funding over RSV, which 90% of children contract before the age of 2, and only 100 to 500 a year die, which is a 0.00000472813 death rate. It is 0.041% Let me add a little bit here. Your whole meeting today was unlawful under the the government sections. Our governor's executive order that allowed you to suspend notice of meeting was specific to COVID, and your agenda item is specific to respiratory syncytial virus. Therefore, under the government code, you are still bound to notice requirements. An emergency under the government code section is defined as crippling activity or other activity which severely impairs public health and safety. And let me tell you, folks, a 0.000047814% death rate is nowhere near an emergency. You will not get more blood money into this county. You will not get more state or federal funding for our hospitals. This is not an emergency. To do so is fraud. You will not mask us like she just talked about doing. You will not quarantine the well or the sick. You will not keep our kids out of school. And damn right, you're not going to cripple our businesses anymore. Do you hear me? We will never lock down again. This is the hill we die on, because this is America. This is the Constitution of America. And this is frickin' freedom.
This is frickin' freedom.
Never again.
Never again. I'm with you, sister. I am with you. I love it when people get fiery. Man, she was dropping some facts on those guys, wasn't she? Yeah. I don't see it being as easy next time for them to lock and mask us down, just because so many people have had it with that shit. But yeah, she's cross. She's cross. But can you blame her? How many small businesses, children are years behind in their education. I know. I was homeschooling my grandkids during COVID. We're so screwed. We're so screwed. Especially now that the WHO has got a ton more money to go out there and swab everything in the fucking world and find the next pandemic, right? Because that's the power we're giving them. Absolutely. So, in the same theme, but a different topic, let's talk about the Mallarys, right? That's what they're calling them, the Mallory mosquitoes that are full of malaria. So a box of 200 mosquitoes did the vaccination in the malaria trials. That's not a joke. So yeah, this was from a couple of years ago when Gates was pushing his mosquitoes that are going to save us all. And so that was September 2022. And here we are now. 750 million genetically engineered mosquitoes approved for release in Florida. BioNTech says it plans to develop an mRNA vaccine to prevent malaria. EPA approves the release of genetically modified mosquitoes in Texas next year. And malaria cases in Texas and Florida are the first U.S. spread since 2003, the CDC says. Well, isn't that a fucking coinky dink? You guys know I don't believe in coincidences, but it's quite a coinky dink that malaria is popping up at the same time that they're going to come up with an mRNA vax. So they needed to come back, right? Is that what's going on? So in the last 2 months, at least 5 people, 4 in Florida, 1 in Texas, have been infected with malaria in the U.S. These are the first known cases of local acquired malaria in the country since 2003. USC's first cases. So I went and grabbed this article. Let me see if it's worth even bringing in. It's called, no, that's not it. That's not it. Where'd it go? 4 things you should know about malaria cases in the United States. So let's go hit the headlines. What are the 4 things? Local transmission in the United States is rare, but not worrisome. Not worrisome at this point. So then why would we need a vaccine for it? Let's see. The next one is malaria can be hard to identify by its early symptoms. Well, boy, isn't that the way it is for almost everything in the world nowadays? Infected travelers and mosquitoes can transport malaria across borders. Imagine that. Across the border. Really? No way. And warming temperatures and travel could help mosquitoes range spread. So meaning that the mosquitoes, it's warmer. So now the mosquitoes are going up west more. They're going down south more. Boy, isn't that lucky for them? I think we're going to see a lot of talk about malaria in the future. And that is just because they got a vaccine they need to roll out, right? It's just sad and sick. And the thing is they're constantly defended. They're defended for this shit, right? Bill Gates saved the world. They saved the world with the vaccine. Go listen to the bourgeois left. My God, Big Pharma saved us all. The only reason we're all still here and still breathing is because of Big Pharma. Don't you know? Don't you know? So as I get more information on that, we'll talk about it. I have a feeling, sadly, there's going to be more cases of malaria. So I will keep an eye out for you. 1.6 billion disposable mass entered the ocean in 2020 and will take up to 450 years to biodegrade. But hey, we saved people's lives, didn't we? And I never claimed to be a doctor or a scientist. I am an embalmer. I have been only sounding the alarm about what I'm seeing. I can only say that this is not normal. In 20 years prior to 2021, I never seen anything like this. Something is causing this, and I see it often. Now, I've been bringing you reports from embalmers and funeral directors for 2 freaking years now. I've been showing you these clotted masses that are showing up in people's arteries. What is it? We're not even asking questions about what it is. And you know what? I literally saw under that post, somebody posted a picture of clots and it said, these were the ones they took out of me, but I survived. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. They got him out. I survived. I'm not questioning that there's any more. That is insane. We are insane. We live in the most insane time in the world. We really do. Okay, this one, I don't know. This is us. I had this on the deck for Saturday night. It's a little long, so we kicked it off. This is the ultimate Karen. You know, we do the Karens in the wild. But just tell me, would you open your door if this woman came and beat on your door? Because I can promise you, I wouldn't have opened the door. And I would have had a few more choice words for her than what this lady had. And make sure you're looking in the background because the culprit of this whole entire interaction walks up behind her.
Oh, open your door.
Hello? He rings the bell 1,000 times. Open your door.
What do you want? I want to talk to the grown-up who lives here. Why? What happened? Answer the door. What happened? Answer the door. No, I don't even know who I'm your neighbor. Is something wrong? Oh, can you tell me what it is?
Open
You
the
seem
door.
pretty angry. I really don't want to open the door, unless you calm down. Open the door. I'm sorry. Can you just tell me if something went wrong or
Yes.
something happened? I'm not aware.
There is
if anything
something wrong.
Made you angry.
Who are you?
Well, can you tell me what?
You're knocking on my door, bitch.
You're the mother of this house?
I'm the mother of this house.
Great. Well, we've never met, so let's meet. If your cat doesn't stop pissing and eating and biting all of the things at my house when I don't own a cat and you do, I'm going to get the police involved because I am fed up. My son is very allergic to cats. Your cat will not stay out of my yard, my house, my garage. He gets into my house. Keep.
Look, there's the cat behind her.
It's your cat. I've already met your husband about
Who's
it.
this bitch? Why is she on my doorstep?
It's your cat. Yes, you do, and you don't keep any of them inside. Keep your cat inside. Your orange cat. If you would open the door, I can show you.
What, you got him in a pot boiling?
Your cat doesn't have to come to my house either. But you know what? That's fine. We can go ahead and get the police involved. That's totally fine.
I'm sure they're going to be happy with that, Karen. Dude, the cat stepping up in the background. That cat was so boss. He needs the glasses on because he's looking over. What the fuck does she want? And people wonder what's wrong. Like, that encounter was just fucking bizarre. Do we have any manners at all? Knock on the door. Hello, can we talk? I'm your neighbor. No, just open your door. Somebody comes and beats on my door and tells me to open the fucking door. I'm going to open it with a gun in your face. That's the way it's going to go down. And call the cops? No, never call the fucking cops. I don't call the cops. I learned a long time ago that the cops are not there to help me, protect me. And odds are I might get shot or I end up going to jail if I call the cops, even though I feel like I was in the right because she was on my property being the aggressor. But that was just an insane encounter. But these are the type of insane encounters that we're having all over every day now. I mean, the amount of hostility that's out there. It's insane. It's so gotten so much worse after COVID. Yeah, I had to grab a screenshot of the cat. The cat just looks at her like, what's up? And it is annoying. Don't get me wrong. If you don't have cats and you have cats sneaking in your house and pissing and spraying on shit, that's terrible. But there's better ways to handle it than going to your neighbors and going off half cock like that. So kudos on the lady who didn't open the door. Yeah, what is your problem, lady? Is what I would have been asking. Don't fuck with my cats, though. I will mess you up. My resume is just a list of things I never want to do again. Abso-freaking-lutely, right? And I'm like most Americans that, work minimum wage jobs. I got a whole gamut of different things I've done on there, and I don't want to do any of them again. I followed this one YouTuber called Nurse John. and he does shorts that just crack me up, because if you've ever worked in any nursing home or hospital settings, the poor nurses and CNAs, they go through hell. And he visualizes that for you. And I just relate to it, because I got to say, working in the Alzheimer's wards was probably one of the worst gigs I ever had. It absolutely was. The smell, the things you had to do, the shift. I worked the night shift, get out of there at 7:00 in the morning, be back, that afternoon. It was the most terrible job. But nobody, we just don't put any importance on taking care of the elderly in our country at all, generational wise, our culture, our traditions. And that's so sad to me. It's almost like you become a certain age and then you just don't matter anymore. And that's what it felt like in those nursing homes. You can never get the kids to come see their parents, trying to get stuff for them. You're calling family members like, hey, they're out of this or out of that. And I'll get there next week, like your loved one's going without, it's just all around. That was a horrifying experience, was being a CNA for me. It certainly was. I got a gardening meme here. Wow, we're actually on time today. Happiness is seeing a bee on a flower you planted. Yes, it is. And I got so many little honeybees out there right now. I almost got stung yesterday. I went out to fertilize because a few of my plants are struggling. So I figure I'll give them a little bit of fertilizer, see if that pops them out of it. And I told you guys, somebody broke my hose. Somebody broke the hose straight off of my faucet. And so right now I've got a hose that doesn't have an end on it. I'll probably go get a hose today, and so I have to kink it because I can't just shut it off. The nozzle's not working. And I have this like bamboo, I don't know, round decorative thing kind of in the corner. And I kinked the hose and I shoved it down in there thinking that it would stop the hose while I was mixing batches of fertilizer up. Well, I stuffed it right into a yellow jacket's nest. Oh my God. I felt the buzzing on my hand first thing. And so I jumped back, and I'll tell you what, I was in the backyard within 2 seconds, man. I did not want to get stung. And yeah, so I got to go pick up some bee spray too, because I don't mind if the bees build up above in the deck. I mean, for the most part, I hate yellow jackets. I don't mess with honeybees. I leave them alone. I love them. But the yellow jackets, I'll push them out if I have to. But I can't have them down low where the kids are. So those ones have got to go. But oh man, I thought for sure I was going to get stung. And then the craziest part was my hose was stuffed in there and I needed it. So I got about 50 feet away and I yanked that hose out of there real fast, and the bees were all pissed off. Then I had to go in the house for like 20 minutes till they calmed down. Yeah. Cold Fusion's super allergic. So he can't help me at all with any of the stuff outside, because if he gets stung, we're taking a trip to the hospital. We need a meme of that, Shanda. Yeah. Yeah. Me trying to get stung for sure. Well, you guys know that tomorrow is 4th of July here in the United States for those of us on this side of the water. And I got to tell you, I'm not proud of my country. I don't feel patriotic. I have respect for all of those who have fought in the military, for my grandparents and everything that they fought for. But as far as our country goes, I don't want to celebrate. I don't feel fucking pride in the United States. I'm embarrassed. I'm disgusted. And I know the rest of the world sees us for what we truly are. But if you're going to be out there celebrating tomorrow, be safe, and hope you have a fun weekend. When your fun is over, pick your shit up and take it with you. Yes, this is one of the most gross things I always see after 4th of July. The beaches are always littered. The sidewalks are always littered. Clean up your shit. Even if you got to do it the next morning, get up and clean up your shit. And you can have my fireworks when you pry them from my cold, dead fingers, which are right over there by the sidewalk. That's not funny. So many of us have been injured in fireworks. My dad once had a pack of firecrackers, and he was at a kegger party, and somebody lit that thing, and it blew a huge chunk of his thigh off. They thought it'd be funny to see it go off in his pocket. It's stupidity. And don't mix alcohol and drugs with fireworks. Not a good combo. Ever, ever, ever. And be safe. Be safe out there. And let's not burn America down. We got enough fires to contend with. That's what I have to say. So as we close out the show for this 4th of July, I had to bring you a message from Orwell in his own words. Now, of course, there is no actual video footage of Orwell. Sadly, he died and they never actually got him on film, but we do have his words to take with us. And I just thought this was interesting This is it's about a 5-minute breakdown of the totalitarian state.
Totalitarianism became a major focus of Orwell's career and combined his criticism of fascism, Soviet communism, and the general willingness of people to bend reality for political purposes at society's expense. He described totalitarianism as the suppression of individuality for the sake of political orthodoxy. He wrote that it not only forbids you to express, even to think certain thoughts, but it dictates what you shall think. It creates an ideology for you. It tries to govern your emotional life as well as setting up a code of conduct. In the totalitarian society of 1984, Winston Smith's individuality is so tightly controlled that he is not even allowed to think a thought that breaks the orthodoxy of his political party. People who do commit thought crime are either killed or re-educated through torture until their minds are realigned with the party orthodoxy. Orwell was responding to totalitarianism spreading at the time in countries like Germany, Italy, and the Soviet Union, but he also thought it was spreading in more subtle forms back at home in England through socially enforced, unofficial political orthodoxy. Many people participating would do so voluntarily censoring themselves when it came to certain subjects, and voluntarily conforming their beliefs to whatever their political party tells them. Orwell said those types of people effectively have gramophone minds that play whatever record someone places on them. In 1984, Winston Smith's wife is a portrait of that person, willingly surrendering her body and mind to the party of Big Brother, a process that Orwell believed dehumanizes people as they willingly surrender their identity and, in effect, become a machine. But he knew not everyone would voluntarily believe what they're told, and argued that in order for totalitarian regimes to control the broader public, they'd need to break down belief in objective truth, giving them a schizophrenic relationship with truth that allows them to believe the changing nature of reality as is presented to them by party politics. Orwell wrote, "The peculiarity of the totalitarian state is that, though it controls thought, it doesn't fix it. It sets up unquestionable dogmas, and it alters them from day to day. It needs the dogmas because it needs absolute obedience from its subjects, but it can't avoid the changes which are dictated by the needs of power politics. It declares itself infallible, and at the same time it attacks the very concept of objective truth." He believed there were totalitarian trends in language, since language could be used to dull the truth, hide reality, and even numb the minds of people listening. This is captured in Newspeak in 1984, a language that narrows every year, trying to narrow the range of thought and eventually make unorthodox thought impossible. Orwell was concerned that totalitarianism was spreading worldwide, and argued that there were two safeguards against it. One is that truth exists despite people trying to claim otherwise. And the other safeguard is the liberal tradition of freedom and equality, which guarantees the right to argue for truth against political pressures that might make truth unpopular. He defined liberty saying, "If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear." He was absolute in his defense of liberty, saying any attack on intellectual liberty and on the concept of objective truth threatens, in the long run, every department of thought.
I've been doing some deep dives on Orwell all week. I mean, yeah, I know all of his work. Obviously, we all grew up with it, right? I mean, Animal Farm was required reading when I was in, high school, and but I didn't know much about his life. And you guys are exactly right. He did work for the British Fed. He enlisted, right? He actually got shot in the throat too, and then he became a journalist, and he had money. I mean, well, not a lot of money, but his family had status, right? And so a lot of what he saw and what he did, he got pulled out, like, oh, I'm going to go live with the workers, and it's going to be poor. I'm going to be poor, and it's going to be hard to eat, blah, blah, blah. So he would do it like an embedded journalist. And that is where they say he got his compassion for the working class. But yeah, you're right. He did work for the Fed. He did. Maybe it made him realize what was going on more. I mean, if you see it, right? Guess what? Today is Julian Assange's birthday. Please make sure you get out there and support actions that are happening today. Tweet it out. Let's make him trend today. Let's see. Julian Assange, never far from the minds of those who seek to silence him, but close to those who value truth and justice. Happy birthday, Julian Assange. Yes. And you guys can write Julian Assange. Right there's his address. And please do. You know, I just keep hoping that one of these days we're not going to, you know, like he'll be out and we won't need to write him and this will all end and he can be home with his children and his wife. And as we go into 4th of July, just know what your country is doing in your name. And we can do that because of Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, right? If you're going to celebrate 4th of July, let's celebrate the real truth keepers. Beauty and the Boomer. Oz, I love this card. Are we going regal this weekend or what? Oh, that's right. We're doing a Christmas theme. That's not very Christmassy. Christmas in July. I think that's what we're doing. I don't know, but it'll be fun. We had a good time Saturday night. I thought we did. Let's see. What else did we got going on this week? I'll be back Wednesday. I held tight. The picture looked pretty clear. So hopefully I figured out what the hell the problem is. Now, if I can just get my mic to keep working, that would be good. And I'll be back Wednesday. I don't think Pasta and I are doing a show on Thursday. I think he's traveling this week, but you know, Pasta always pops up on my shows. And a lot of times on Fridays, he might jump in too, just because he likes to do that. So I will be back here Wednesday and Friday. And then, Friday, guys, guess what Friday is? I have Kit from Heartlands Media is going to come hang out for Uncensored on Friday. That will be fun. And I think Oz is going to engineer just so I don't have to worry about the bells and whistles and I can just have a good time and chat with Kit. So join us Friday, Uncensored. That's on YouTube or on Rokfin, Rumble, Twitch, and Twitter only because, you know, YouTube doesn't let us talk about stuff. That's all. That is all. Okay, guys. Well, I am out of here. I brought you guys a great cover with more flute. I know you guys love the flute in Saturday's closer, so I had to bring you some more flute. And this is a cover of Bob Seger's Turn the Page by MG Shuffle. You guys have been great. Yay, I didn't have too many tech problems. I love you. I will see you Wednesday morning.
You can listen to the engine moaning out this one note song. You can think about a woman or a girl you knew the night before. But your thoughts may soon be wandering the way they always do when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing much to do. And you don't feel much like riding, you just wish the trip was through. So here I am, on the road again. There I am, up on the stairs. There I go, playing star again. There I go, turn the page. Well, you walk into a restaurant, sprang it from the road, and you feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking up the cold. You pretend it doesn't matter you, but you just want to explore. Most times you can hear them talk, other times you can't. The same old cliches is that a woman or a man, and you always seem to remember you don't dare make a stand. So here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. There I go playing star again. There I go trying to bed. Sweat pours out your body like the music that you play. Later in the evening, as you lie awake in bed, with the echoes of the amplifier ringing in your head, you smoke the day's last cigarette, remembering what you said. So here I